While Terra 2 recently was free to keep for a couple of days, so at the current time of recording there are 2,400 people in game, they released some fresh start servers along with 2x experience on these servers. This game has been out for a few years, so I'm guessing they're gonna make it free to play soon, so I thought we might as well cover this one. This is fully fleshed out, a fully complete MMO. They normally charge 40 bucks, so again, I think it's gonna go free to play. You can try out the game and play through Tutorial Island. Leave me a like if you can, subscribe for indie MMORPG content, and we also have a Discord server over 1,000 on there, indie MMORPG themed. I let the guys know on there, and a bunch of us hopped in. This video will go over what this game has to offer in the first few hours. I put in 3.5 hours, but I think I hit the point where it's just going to be grind and progress, and I think I got the gist of the game. So we got the gunbound music going, let's get started. Starting off, you're in the little tutorial area. You can move with WASD, left click to interact with things, right click to swing your weapon. Originally, I believe this was big into PvP, but the new servers are PvE, so you don't gotta worry about that. Once you get through the little starting area, you end up on the beach where you need to start collecting rocks and sticks, pretty much like Rust or Minecraft. The difference is you do have some active and passive skills with your leveling system, so you don't have one overall level. You have a bunch of different levels. You could think like RuneScape. This is where the MMO aspects come into the game. Instead of Rust, where there is no leveling, you do progress through tiers of different nodes and gathering. So you start off with rocks, then there's limestone, copper, tin, iron, etc. When you do level up those skills, every so often you will gain some new passive skills, and you also gain some new active skills. The active skills, from what I can tell, are all from your combat abilities. So I have a defense skill with my sword, or I can use blunt weapons and I get a little damage boost attack. There is a quest line in game. It just gets you through the basics of gathering and collecting, as well as crafting the necessary things that you need to progress, which are mainly crafting stations. There's also a pet system in game. It looks like you can tame almost any mob you see in game. I've seen people running around with a skeleton. You start off with a rabbit and then a fox. You have to like constantly feed them in your inventory to really tame them after you capture them, and then eventually you can pull them out. After 3 hours, I still can't use my fox, but I have seen people running around with foxes and skeletons. There's also farming in the game as well. I'll show a bunch of people I run past that have farms set up. Jumping to the monetization of the game, these are the packs that I'm currently looking at. It has some pretty exorbitant pricing. Kind of reminds me of Ashes of Creation, their $500 buy-in packs before. You could also buy their in-game currency, which buys you some cosmetics in-game. A bunch of crap comes inside of these packs. I'm not sure who's willing to buy this stuff, but this is the insane one. I've seen people talk about 300k pack, and you get an island in-game. You might as well just buy an island in real life. It's kind of... what am I supposed to say about this? It's pretty ridiculous. I'm unwilling to even read these because it's just so excessive, but clearly there's some major pay-to-win elements. And then here you could see their cosmetics. They have some pay-to-win mounts. They are faster. It says they're fast. You could buy furniture and some building stuff, as well as cosmetics for your character. They also have a pay-to-win premium subscription. I'd complain, but since this is PvE, it doesn't make much of a difference. Also, we have 2x experience on the server, so 50% doesn't really matter. Again, the pricing is insane. Nothing really I could say to defend this stuff, but I thought it'd be important to have in the video. So you're still on Tutorial Island. You've got maybe your blunt weapon attack, and you've been gathering rocks and stones. You set up your little plot of land. You build a few little crafting stations, and now you want to go and fight stuff. Honestly, the combat isn't super interesting. You're just going to be using right click, maybe 3 skills eventually. I only had 1 or 2 in my few hours of playing. The progression feels pretty fast. At least you will level up your combat quickly, as well as your armor, because the server is 2x experience. We have swords, knives, axes, and blunt weapons. Blunts offer you a stun passive at 10%. Axes seem to be more into DPS and two-handed. Knives have to do more with parrying and dodging, and swords also have the ability to parry as well. For ranged, you have throwing knives, bows, and crossbows. There might be more, but this is all that it's showing me right now. And then these are your defensive abilities. As far as healing while you're in combat, you can make bandages, but it does seem to take quite a bit just to make them. If you have a party, you can make a healing staff, and that would be super useful in your group. I have not seen any crafting that has to do with magic. I haven't seen any mages, so I don't think there are any magic weapons outside of healing staves, but I could be wrong. It could be endgame. With how much gathering there is in game, their inventory system I think is kind of small. You can eventually make backpacks. I didn't ever get to that point, but you do have lots of storage in your camp. Like Rust, you can make as much storage as you want. There's also no weight cap on your inventory, which I really appreciate. I hate when games have weight caps. You do need to eat in game. You have to stuff yourself non-stop when you first start. At 3 hours, I'm still struggling with stamina. I'm stuffing myself with meat and any vegetables and fruit that I find in the world. Kind of annoying. That's pretty much the only thing you have to maintain. Eventually though, you do make it off of Tutorial Island. You can move your entire base over there. You just pick it up and then then you can place it down again. This looks like the entirety of the world. It's not massive. Again, I compare it to Rust. You just have your little zones where you can go and grind, and then you just run back to your base and you can craft and stockpile. There are dungeons in the game. They're introduced very early, so you can go and grind it with your friends. You can make money there. You can find armor and weapons there, and you could also level up your combat, obviously. There's a party system in game, friend system, guild system, all that. Overall, the game is pretty simple. The crafting gets pretty tedious. That's basically why I'm stopping here. The leather crafting is kind of a pain in the butt. There's like 10 steps just to make some leather. I wanted to make some copper armor that required leather, but I pretty much gave up. And then the combat itself isn't all that interesting. You do have some active skills, but with no healer, you're gonna have to stockpile bandages. And I just don't think it's that interesting. It's not all that fun. This is more for those isometric crafting and gathering people, and I'm sure some Rust players might enjoy this as well. There are PvP servers still up. I didn't get in there, but if you really want to get into it, I think PvP is probably the way to go. But that's kind of the basics. Honestly, it's not that extreme as far as being unique. Before people grabbed it for free, I think there were only maybe 150, 200 people playing concurrently, so it wasn't super popular before, but it has been out for a few years, so it's hard to retain players for that long, especially with these indie MMOs. But I thought I'd give it a shot. This was just kind of a weird random one I thought I'd throw in there. If you want something to play for a decent amount of time, you can pick it up. I'd say you could probably get 100 hours at least out of this. I barely scratched the surface at playing just a few hours. I'm not really into these kind of survival crafting games, but I thought some of you subs might be interested. But I think this is overall the gist of the game. How the loop is gonna go, you're gonna go gather a ton of materials, go back to your base, take the time to craft it all down, which takes a lot of steps for certain items, and then you're going to go out into the world and do some PvE in the dungeons if you're not gonna go the PvP route into the PvP servers, and then just cycle and repeat until you're out of stuff to do. Seems like endgame's just gonna be major dungeons, maybe some bossing. The dungeons are instant, so you can hop into them early with your buddies. Not the most interesting indie MMORPG we've covered, but it is fully developed and it's not in alpha, so take it as a win if this goes free to play, I guess. But we're gonna be stopping here. This is gonna be a short, quick one. I know there was a lot of backlash in the past about the game being pay to win, and they had some crazy expensive items in the shop. But let me know what you all think in the comments. Leave me a like if you can. Subscribe for indie MMORPG content. Normally we cover stuff that is in development, but I thought I'd share this again since I'm guessing it's going to go free to play pretty soon. We also have a Discord server, over 1,000 on there, indie MMORPG themed. A bunch of us were hopping into this. I let them know on there that it went free to play. If you want to keep up with the latest developing indie MMORPGs or just game with us, check out our Discord server. We also stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, stuff in development, interesting projects, so if you want to follow on Twitch or just watch on YouTube, you can as well. But that's all from me. Thanks for stopping by. I know this was a quick one, and until next time, I'll see you in game.